Hello and thanks for checking out TheChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hello MJ friends. So we're going to look at CGC, APH, ACB, CRON, TLRY, the big five. Currently in New Orleans and wasn't trading today, but it was a really nice day to take off, and I'll show you why, because things pretty much just tightened up and played out as anticipated. You need to be watching the overall market, as I've said, for months at this point. Check out my SPY video. I'm going to be talking about how Amazon had an impact on the Canadian MJ sector today after hours. And it absolutely did. If you look at Amazon after hours, how the market and the tech sector reacted to it, and how the Canadian MJ sector and the names that trade after hours, how they reacted to it, it's very, very clear that there is a correlation. So we can say that Canadian MJ is down after hours because Amazon had a miss on earnings and had a bearish reaction. And the market's in a bit of a fragile state right now, and so it even had a more significant reaction than we would normally anticipate. So CGC on the daily time frame, all of these names, let's just get it out of the way, they're all in bear flags on the daily time frame. Right now, it is up to the bulls to break the high of the bounce attempt from the last couple of days to try and negate that bear flag. But as of right now, the bears are comfortable, and it is a bear flag pattern. And a bear flag is when you have the dump, the weak bounce attempt in a parallel little channel, and then another leg down. So again, it is the burden of proof on the bulls to prove themselves. And heading into this morning, we said bulls better show up first thing in the morning to give us an equilibrium. And that's exactly what happened. So as soon as I saw the SPY bulls showing up pre-market, and then after the bell rang, and then I saw CGC following along with a solid little day today, I could very easily take my eyes off the market and say, well, there's our 4-hour equilibrium. We're just patiently waiting for a lower high, and we're going to watch tomorrow for the likely break. And that's what we have right now very clearly with our low, our high of the bounce, our higher low, where yesterday, or I should say this morning, we opened up, we set a lower high, we started pulling back at the end of the day, same as SPY, very correlated CGC and SPY, and then bearish after hours action in response to Amazon. So at this point, I'm looking down at key support 37.61 and 37.32. We'll call it 37.32 at this point, and it looks like, let's see, I want to see when that dip occurred, and that happened right at the open. So that is the level that we're watching, 37.32. If 37.32 breaks, we're looking down at the low of 36.62, and then again, if 36.62 breaks, the bear flag is confirmed, and we get another leg down, and people looking for long-term positions start to salivate a little bit more. On the 4-hour time frame, look at how clear these lower highs are from the all-time high. All-time high, pullback, lower high, 2, 3, 4, 5 lower highs now. Very clear downtrend on the 4-hour time frame. When that changes, when we change the 4-hour trend, we will get a bounce on the daily. The daily chart will then set a lower high, but we don't even have any significant daily bounce unless we can change this 4-hour trend. So tomorrow, same as today, the bulls better come out swinging and break 41.06 to try and break this pattern bullish. Otherwise, another leg down is coming, and the next support level that we're looking at with a lack of support nearby is 36.65, which we broke by a couple pennies. That's a double bottom. And if that level breaks, it's all psychological levels to 34.16. So 36, 35, 34.16 are the next levels that we're watching. And of course, if the S&P 500 sees another leg down, then the odds are going to significantly increase. And then we'll start to look for the daily RSI to get oversold if that is indeed what happens. So it's all about the 4-hour equilibrium. APH, much more bullish day today. And I actually haven't even checked in, so if anything fundamentally is going on with these companies today, I don't know about it right now, but just analyzing the charts and the price action, we saw that APH, yesterday in the video, we pointed out that it was the most likely to form a higher low just because it had the most space to work with before breaking to a lower low. So we saw the lower open, the bulls showed up in a big way, and we don't have the after hours action to be looking at, but we can anticipate that if CGC and ACB and CRON and TLRY are all going to open lower tomorrow in response to these Amazon earnings, then APH likely will as well. So again, it's a scenario where I didn't come on yesterday and say, we're going to form 4-hour equilibriums. I said, if the bulls show up tomorrow morning, we're going to form 4-hour equilibriums, most likely. So again, as soon as I saw that happen, I then established my trading game plan around it. And my trading game plan for today was just sit back, enjoy some time off and wait for this pattern to break. So it looks like our lower high is at 1677 and the support levels are 1411 and 1376. Two very key support levels, two very clear resistance levels from the past couple days. Same setup as CGC, and we'll see which direction we break. Again, a break is likely tomorrow. Not a sure thing, but I'm anticipating that we're going to see a break. ACB is the weaker of the names. The 4-hour time frame dropped right down to support. Let's see if we broke it here. 918, just barely broke it by 4 pennies. Again, if you're seeing an individual name in a sector that has strong correlations and it breaks a level and the rest of the names are not breaking that same level, you have to take it with a grain of salt. So we broke support by 4 cents. Nobody else broke support. The sector leaders did not break support, and then they started to bounce. So ACB follows along, but obviously it's way, way weaker. It's not even in the same league as APH and CGC in terms of the bounce that we saw. So we have the lower high, double bottom essentially, and we don't even have another lower high to be watching like we do on these other names. APH, very clear lower high. CGC on the 4-hour, also very clear. ACB didn't even bounce enough to give us another lower high. So even if the bulls show up tomorrow, we're still going to look for a lower high compared to 1129. Odds of an ACB break are much more likely than these other names. And after 918, we're looking at 9 psychological and then a gap to fill at 864. Cron on the daily time frame, bear flag setup. Inside bars, tightening ranges. So we look at the 4-hour for more detail. Low, high of the bounce, higher low just barely held, lower high. So support right now is 762 down to 751. And key resistance is 848 and then up to 884. If those two support levels break, we go to the daily chart for the next support level, and I'm looking down at 663. So again, a lack of support, 7 psychological, and then 663 would come next. We are on the verge of another leg down if these patterns break bearish. TLRY daily, even more like a bear flag than anybody else. No lower high as well, same as ACB. So we have the low of the pullback, high of the bounce. Don't even have a higher low. It's the least developed 4-hour equilibrium of anybody, and we're just looking down. Let's actually see what extended hours did. So there's a lower high. So we got resistance at 116.97, 127.80, and we're just looking at 101.10, and we know how important, as we've been saying for a long time, that $97 support is very important. Break that level, and we're looking down in the 70s for TLRY. So bulls need to be very cautious at this point. If SPY sees another leg down, we're likely to see another leg down in Canadian MJ. Keep in mind that if some of these names break bearish, the names that are closer to breaking bearish are TLRY and ACB. If they break bearish and CGC does not break bearish, take it with a grain of salt. And if SPY then starts to bounce, again, the sector is tied to SPY very significantly at this point, more so than when we had the hype leading up into the vote. Because the hype, I keep saying the vote, it's not the vote, it's the first day of sales. Because the hype leading up to that first day of sales caused an influx in volume, and the more volume you have, the more you can break that correlation with the overall market. And now that volume is dwindling to a certain degree, that is when the correlations and the bots have a more significant impact. So think about it, when volume's coming in, it's retail traders like you and me jumping in, and there's a lot more money going around, and we're interacting with these bots. Whereas when we're not trading as much, the bots have a more prominent presence in the market, and that's when the correlations strengthen because the humans are not there to adjust those correlations and throw them off a bit. So again, check out the SPY video here, and I'm going to do later tonight, probably in a few hours. And be cautious because another leg down is the more likely scenario at this point. And tomorrow we're going to get a lot of information as to whether or not that's going to follow through. If we do get a bear break, expect a volume spike on the 4-hour time frame to show that follow through. And I'm patiently waiting in all cash, and I will be looking at potentially helping some people get some longer term positions if we do start to head to daily oversold levels. Absolutely comfortable entering longer positions in that mindset. Also keeping a close eye on the US. We have some changes with Trump where he's putting in some laws against opioids, and that is potential. I mean, it's led to the biotech sector having a huge sell-off. If we look at the biotech sector of XBI, it is dumping in a huge way. Let's look at the weekly chart. Look at the last month. We were at all-time highs, and it just fell off a cliff. So there's some reform coming in that sector, and there were some words that led to believe that more reform is coming in that sector. So again, everybody's hopeful for the US to be next. I do believe it's going to be sooner rather than later. Trump's a businessman. Regardless of what you feel about him personally, I don't foresee him just letting Canada get the spotlight and getting all this money is essentially what I don't foresee happening. So I don't expect it to just be legalized overnight. I expect it to be a slow road, but any step, it will be beneficial for the sector. And it's just something to be aware of that, we need to be watching politically what's going on as well. But again, it's all about the short term. The charts are telling us what the short term action is, and it is still all bears at this point until we change the 4-hour trend. So we'll continue to check in over the weekend. Not sure I'll get a small cap video out this weekend as I'm busy, but I will certainly get back into it. And if I don't, then this coming week, I will put out a small cap video and we'll look at those US names again, the ones that I mentioned in that US video. And again, I appreciate any help if you guys share that video. My goal is to get that to the top of Google and search results just so the more people can benefit from it and learn a little bit about due diligence. So I appreciate you watching. We'll check back in. Hope you have a good night.